to Middleman Productions, and today I'm finally getting started on my hatchet. Be my first hatchet ever. I've done a bunch of tomahawks and did a bunch of other kind of forge weldings, so it's going to be my first wrapped hatchet or a small axe. I kind of already got started here with the blanks, but first and foremost I want to give credit where credit is due. Mimicking John Switzer's wrapped axe build over at Blackbeard Forge. He was kind enough to put all of the stock dimensions, all of the pre-cut measurements, and marking lines on his first video to kind of get you where you need to be. I pretty much modeled my hatchet drift based on like store-bought handles, which he pretty much does the same thing. So I think the measurements that he provided are going to get me where I need to be with the handle that I'm using and with the drift that I'm using. So I want to give him credit for taking the time to put all those measurements in his video, because had he not done that, I'm sure he still would have got plenty of views anyways. So he did take the time to give you those dimensions to get started. So I'll bring you over to the stock that I've already started to work on, and I'll kind of catch you up where we're at. And yeah, remember to check out John's 3-part video series of him making his wrapped hatchet or axe, and I know everybody here has probably already seen it. So, but if you are new to my channel and new to blacksmithing, yeah, check out Blackbeard Forge. Yeah, it'll get you where you need to be. So I will bring the camera over here and show you what we got so far. Alright, so I just started to forge this a little bit just to kind of see if I was going to be able to do it with what I got, and I think so far I'm on the right track. So I'll go ahead and show you how he laid out his hawk. So I'm going to go ahead and write this with a piece of chalk. So here's my center line right here. This is on one side, and this is going to be the heel side of the hatchet. And if I keep calling it a tomahawk, I apologize. This is a hatchet axe project, but I just got a tomahawk on the brain. So here's my center line, and I measured here and here, and this was 1 1/4, and that was 3/4 off the center line on both sides, and that gives you 1 1/4. Actually, it was okay. That's not right. It's 5/8 of an inch off center line, and that gives you 1 1/4. So that's where we're at with this. So 5/8 off both sides of the center line, and I'm pretty sure that gives you 1 1/4. But basically it's 1 1/4 spanning the center line, and this is going to be the heel of the hatchet. And I'll flip it over. We had the same center line, and his dimensions that he provided were 3.5 across here, and this is going to be the little socket or cutout, for the eye, because this is going to be the part that's forge welded together, and this is going to be the eye in here. So off the center line all the way across this way was 3.5 inches. Whoop, chalk's broke. That was 3.5 inches, so it's going to be 1 3/4 on each side of the center line. So 1 3/4, 1 3/4, grand total of 3.5 inches. So, and the overall piece of stock that we're starting with is 9 inches. His stock was 1/2 inch thick. My stock is a little bit thinner, and I hope that doesn't give me a problem. But the width is, let's see, my width is about 2 inches. His width was a little bit more narrow, a little bit thicker. Mine is a little bit thinner, a little bit more wider. So I'm going to work around that. This is what I have, and I'm going to try it. If I fold it up, it looks like it's going to be okay.
So I think this is coming in at, yeah, it's just over, well, it's right at 3/8 of an inch. So we'll see how that goes. He used different stock starting out, but I think I'm gonna be all right. We'll see how it goes. And if I'm not all right, it's gonna be all my fault because I didn't listen to what John said to do. But this is what I got, this is what I'm gonna use. And I'm using far and near sides of the anvil to set this up. And you'll see me doing that when we get the forging going. So, but I did start on it a little bit just to see if I could kind of get the hang of it before I made a fool of myself on video. So I'm going to stop talking, get this thing heated back up again. Forge is already preheated. I was doing some small trinkets for my channel while I was getting the forge warmed up. So I'm going to stop talking, get the forging, and hopefully this works because of the wonderful things he does. I'm using my rounding hammer. John had a diagonal key. I don't have one of those. The steel I'm using is, I think it's a mild steel. The steel came to me through my dad got it for me. And the people he bought it off of said it was like a medium carbon steel, but I tried using it for something else at one point. It didn't work. I think I tried to water harden it and everything. Still didn't harden, so I think this is, pretty sure it's a mild steel. All right, so I marked out all my starting lines with a cold chisel. And that way you can feel it on the edge of the anvil. So after I marked everything, I took a cold chisel and you can feel it bumping on the anvil. That way you don't have to worry about trying to see it. And then of course after you come down here to the sharper part. After you get it whacked a couple times and get it set, you're in good shape. I'm not really forging right now, I'm just trying to get that shoulder established. You kind of see it right here. Then I'm gonna put it back in. Now we're gonna get the backside done. Come in about right here. forge this to the same thickness with the same hammer. This should match the other side. One thing I'm very good at proving theories wrong. I gotta be careful not to hit that heel, because that's what makes it look cool. So I'm kind of hitting not quite half-face blows, sometimes half-face blows, but not quite. This other side a bit. Starts to stretch in all directions, I can start to lay it flatter on the anvil. I'm sure y'all guys already know that. You're just here for my good looks. Go ahead and keep everything straight. Oh me, it is a shame that someone making and selling hatchets and stuff like this, they have to compete with hardware store tools. You go pick up a hatchet that will most likely do any job you need it to do. 35 or 40 bucks. So it's really amazing that, I wouldn't say it's amazing. I'm going to say I'm actually grateful that there are people out there that appreciate handmade stuff. And they're willing to pay the extra to keep makers making, because yeah, at some point it has to be worth your while to do all this stuff. I mean, it is fun, I enjoy doing it, but it is an expensive hobby. Alright, so I'm just doing some plenishing. I know this thing's going to turn out good. Anything shaped like this, got to be good. Just getting some of these rounding hammer marks out. Actually need to turn it around. Cheap ass tongs. I actually got these tongs at a flea market. When I bought them, the lady said, "How much for the pliers?" So she didn't know what the heck it was. Alright, I'm going to do some plenishing on this side. And, yep, we're going to call it. Then we're going to start to work on the fan, because we get that fanned out now, be less chances of it messing with the forge weld later. Alright, so now I'm going to have to start to think about what's going to be the top and what's going to be the bottom. And looking at this piece, it kind of looks like it's going this way, just slightly. So I'm going to designate this to top, and this to bottom. Just makes a difference. Makes a difference in the profile of the blade. I'll get that. Going too much out of control. I'll take one more. This on the other side. I won't film that. I will bring you guys back when both sides match. Alright, so I got the preform done. Actually going faster than what I thought it was. Probably just because I've done so many trade axes or tomahawks that a lot of it's the same. But getting this all set up is really important, so it's looking like it's close. So next we're going to be folding it, moving on to the forge weld. So I'm going to take it to the belt sander. I'm going to sand these two flats because that's what's going to be forge welded first. Get them nice and flat. Get them to where they'll forge weld real nice. And I'll probably bring them in close together. And before I get them touching, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want that to scale up while I'm folding it and give me issues with the weld. But that's neither here nor there. First thing I'm going to do is get this over and get this nice and flat. So I will bring you back when that is done. All right. So with a 40 grit belt, I went ahead and clean that up, the bare metal. I went ahead and flattened these out. That's going to be for later on. One side's a little bit further back. I might have to hit that again real quick. And I just went in the middle just to knock off any weird high spots that might give me problems setting the handle. Just did all that while it was opened up now, because A lot easier to do that and try to get files in there, knock off any weird divot or burr or whatever. So now I got to think about getting this in there and folding it up. I'll be folding it down here, bringing it together, and then I guess get this fluxed up and get it ready to forge weld. So, all right. So what I decided to do with a dull orange or a dull red heat, go ahead and get some flux on here to keep my welding surfaces from oxidizing too much in there. That'll leave a nice shiny coat. So next we're going to go ahead and get this folded over, bring it together. So, man, go bring things together, making good things happen. Bringing sides together. John said this is probably the most important part of the whole deal. Ouch. And that is getting these two things to come together correctly. All right. Switch tones. I'll show you guys something. I have had one side of this tong made for months. And just because I have these goofy things, I just keep putting off finishing this tong. I could be using it right now. Back a little bit before we get into forge weld. I'm trying to flatten it down a little bit. So I'm not liking this. I'm going to fix that. iron mountain flux. Stuff worked great. My brother, he actually bought it for me. He bought it for me. It was a gift. I ran out. One day I was filing the sword that broke in two, and I had like this huge pile of metal shavings on the bench. So I took a magnet and I collected all those shavings, just picked them up off the bench without picking up any of the dirt or anything. And I put all those shavings in a just regular borax, and I think I made my own mountain flux. It actually works pretty good. If you do that, you just have to make sure that, you know, it's a high carbon steel. High carbon steel is a lot easier to weld than mild steel. So the premise is, if you can get those metal shavings with that carbon in there to melt with the flux, then it just makes a really nice sticky welding surface. So if you're too cheap to buy the iron mountain flux like I am, just get a file and file some. You know, you gotta clean it, make sure it's to a silver, and just take a file and get a whole bunch of shavings and throw them in there. I just kept adding shavings until it just turned it kind of like a light gray color, like peanut butter's melting. But all right, that's my little trick. Just take regular borax flux and get some high carbon metal shavings and mix in there until you get it to a nice light gray, and it actually works pretty good. Give you a close-up so you can see it. See all those little metal shavings in there, just flakes. That's all it is. So I went ahead and prepared the bit. Actually, I prepared the bit on the belt sander. And the reason I did that was because the heats were so long. For the forge weld, I was just standing around doing nothing. So I just went ahead and ground out the bit, and I'll show you that in a second. So I'm spreading these jaws open to accept the bit, and I got it viced up to keep the stress off of the forge weld. And just opening it up far enough so I can get in there and clean things up a little bit. Alright, so here's the bit, and I went ahead and it's just a piece of spring steel. It's actually, might look familiar to you guys. Hold on a second. Where is the thing I just had? Here it is. So this used to be here, back when I made it shorter. So I saved this. It's a piece of spring steel and it was already halfway there. So I just finished flattening it out on the belt sander with a 40 grit belt and used a cold chisel and knocked some teeth in it. So just gotta kind of pay attention to where it needs to be, and it's gonna fit in there just like so. After I get this all cleaned up hot, then we're gonna hammer it in. All right, so it's cooled down. I cleaned up in here the best I could with the belt sander. I did some preliminary grinding, and it's going to be the rough shape. Inspected the welds. Welds looks like they took, so good to go there. So now it's time to get this thing back in the forge, get it hot, and get this the bit forge welded in. We get past all that, then we can get the drift in the eye. So I'm going to shut up and get back to work. It up so I don't stress my weld. I put a dot back here so I can remember what the top was. so I think I got the bit welded in pretty good. I'm actually going to stop forging on that end for the time being. I think I got her pretty straight. I'm going to go back and focus back on the eye, get that taken care of, but I'm really paying attention. I really don't want to split that forge weld. Starting to drip the eye, using a vise to protect my weld. steady.
Alright, so I had it forged. Things went a little bit off the rails with this eye. I was really just trying my hardest to keep this weld from splitting open. And in hindsight, what I should have done was when I folded it and had everything at welding temperature, I should have pre-formed the eye while everything was at welding temperature. And when I went to put the bit in, I could have just came back and dressed the eye up and probably wouldn't have had any issue. But I kind of lost some footage there because it was just too hard keeping up with the camera and how fast I had to keep moving. But you didn't miss a whole lot. I just set this weld 3 more times and just kept putting the eye in it until I got it expanded out. And I was starting to get worried because it was starting to get thin. So that right there was enough to make me realize that that 1/2 inch thick material would have wound up being a lot better. And not to mention the fact that I lost most of my heel back here. But to be honest with you, I'm still happy with it. I like the profile of it, so I'm going to let it cool down. I'm going to do the grinding on it, then get the heat treat done and wrap this thing up. So it's not going that bad, but yeah, I got a little bit discombobulated on drifting the eye. I should have had it a lot more closer than where it was. So alright, I'm going to shut you down and I'll bring you back after it's ground and ready for heat treat. Alright, so here it is off the grinder. I got it finished to, it's like a medium grit Scotch-Brite pad belt. Man, I really love those things. Those things work awesome. If you haven't tried a Scotch-Brite belt, man, you got to try one. I got the medium. Next time I order belts, I'm going to go ahead and order the fine too. The medium actually has a pretty good cut, so yeah. Next time it's going to be the fine, but yeah, this thing's still holding on. I finished 2 knives with it, and now I finished this. And looks like we're ready for heat treat. I'm really pleased with how the handle fits up. Of course, I'm going to have to make a wedge, no problem. But the handle fits really nice. The drift did a really good job. And I was able to get these 2 seams closed up in that last bit of fidgeting there near the end. But I'm going to knock this video off here. I know this video is probably already, it's got to be at least an hour and a half long before I edit it. So I got a lot of editing to do. So in part 2, I'm going to go ahead and heat treat it, temper, final edge, and then we're going to set the handle. So I want to thank John Switzer for sharing all that knowledge with everybody out there. It was a big help. His dimensions put me right where I needed to be. I mean, exactly. I can't believe it. So I was kind of worried about that, thinking I might have to make a custom handle for it, but his dimensions for a store-bought handle are right on the money. So, man, really surprised. Not surprised, I'm really grateful actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. Wife's home, gonna eat some dinner, and catch you on part 2 to wrap up my, my first hatchet. So thanks for stopping by.